I guess through 2 days, how do you feel your defense is performing?
It's all it's all really good so far. We're not in pads yet, and so it's really hard to gauge exactly where you're at. But there's a lot of speed on the field, a lot of young guys that need to learn and get caught up with the system. So I think we're okay right now, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Are pads more important for defensive players in fall camp than offensive players?
I think it's more important just for the front.
Okay.
I don't think it's necessarily as important. I mean, obviously there's parts of it where receivers and DBs need to go through their stock blocking and shedding blocks and all that stuff. But for the O-line and D-line, it's where it starts, number one. But also it's very, very important for us.
At Media Day, you and I were talking about toughness. You thought your team had some toughness. I realize you're not in pads yet, but how has that manifested itself just in the first 2 days, that toughness?
I think the way that they've really bought in and started doing certain things that the head coach has asked. I mean, some of the things that he's asked them to do requires discipline and toughness, and they've been bought in. They've been sold on just doing everything that Coach Tuiaki has asked them to do, and I think that it's shown up in some of the development and some of the things that we're starting to see, especially with the young guys.
One of your first-year freshmen had to practice with an interception. How beneficial can it be for these young guys just to get in there and make plays right off the bat?
No, that's good. I didn't even see it. I was over here with the O-line and D-line, so good for him.
Yeah, but can you speak to just how important it is for guys to just come in and make plays?
Obviously
practice?
Success for a young kid is really, really good. I mean, false success sometimes is really, really bad. And so, I mean, that's good for him to get. There's so many things that go into that. Was it a bad throw? Did the receiver run a wrong route? You know what I mean? And so it's good for his confidence, but at the same time, we got to make sure that we continue to push them and just make sure that they stay even keel and just continue to push through.
How do you gauge success before you put on pads?
This is all fake football, so we're all successful.
Or insights for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned spending time with the D-line. How are they looking so far?
Looking good. We're implementing a lot of new things that we ended up taking during the off season, which is it's taken some time right now for them to get, but we're also not in pads yet, and so it's kind of like the last thing you want is to lose a player when you're not in pads, and so we're trying to get them to stop. We're trying to get them to hold up. Today, I thought was a little bit more physical than I would have liked. Not in pads. Just you don't want to lose somebody with the shoulder or something, getting dinged with a helmet. So we'll see. Tomorrow will be good for us.
How's Dion doing relative to spring?
Good. I think he looks, just exactly where he left off and just getting better, understanding the defense better.
What do you see and what's possible for a guy like Cougars Tony?
He's a really good player. If he can get things down and get to where you need to be right now, he's a little heavy. If we can get him where he needs to be and keep him there, then I think he's a game changer. I think he's a difference maker.
Is there going to be some shuffling still going on in fall camp with guys trying out new positions?
Yep, absolutely. And the kids know that, and we've talked about that, kind of, especially early on, having a depth chart that we roll through and changing, throughout at least the first 2 weeks of camp. Today a lot of the younger guys took majority of the reps, and we ended up pulling some guys out just to make sure that we can get some of the young guys caught up with the scheme.
What are the benefits of facing this type of offense with all the motion and smoke and mirrors and trying to get guys going in the wrong direction? What's the benefits on the defensive side to be facing that new team?
I think it's great for us to we've got to make sure that we're sound, but also this type of football is physical. It's really, really physical, and so this game has always been about physicality. It's always been about being big and strong, and I think that it tests us right out the gate. And so we're excited about it, and we're excited about being sound with our scheme and making sure that we've got answers to everything that they're throwing at us, and they're throwing a lot at us, which is good. But also we've got to make sure that we're physical, that we're playing big man football.
Are you seeing anybody step up on that defensive side in terms of leadership and that kind of thing? Because you didn't lose a ton of bodies last year, but you did lose quite a bit of leadership, I feel like. So is anybody kind of starting to assert themselves a little bit for the first few days?
I think in every position group, they've all, there's sorry.
You're good.
there's a lot of guys that are stepping up, and it's really not a leader that steps up and everybody kind of is behind them, but I think individually everybody's committed to just the process. They're committed to what we want to do, and so everybody's kind of pushing in the same direction. You know, it's kind of like, hey, we're doing this, and it's not like one guy saying, hey, come on, we got to do this. They're like, this is what we do. We're going to do this. Let's all go together and do it. And I think that the commitment from each player to do their part and to push in the same direction has been really, really good to see.
Has Zane settled into that flash spot as well as you expected him to?
I think so. You know, I think so. He's this dang fly, man. He's gaining weight. You know, he got. We wanted him to report to fall camp at a certain weight, and he did. And he actually hit that weight 2 weeks before fall camp, and we told him, okay, now that you're here and you know that you're a backer at the next level, you've got to get a little bit bigger. And so he's totally bought into gaining weight, and we just got to continue to push him to hold that weight. And you know, I think right now he might be between 210, 212, where last year he was playing at like 195. And so, you know, if he can continue to push him and get to about 225 and hold it and still keep his speed, I think that he'll be a guy that'll.
What were you most impressed with in day 2?
Oh, God. I couldn't put my finger on one thing. You know, we got to go and look at the film. It's not as good as you think when you leave the field, and it's not as bad as you think. And so some things that stick out as a negative in my mind, you know, I'll go look at it on film and say, okay, that wasn't as bad. And sometimes, you know, we're super excited about the interception at the end. We'll go look at the film and say, oh, that was just a bad throw, or, you know, whatever it is. So, you know, we just got to make sure that we stay even keel the whole way through.
What's been maybe, in granted just 2, but what's been the early evaluation on some of the changes in the secondary, how that's played out?
It's been good so far. You know, there's a lot of youth there, like as you know, but there's also a lot of speed. I don't know if you guys were able to see some of those young kids. I mean, we've got some long kids that can run and cover a lot of ground. And but the game of football is so complex, and there's a lot that goes into it. Those guys need to understand football a little bit better and get into the scheme.